12 noon, May 14th. I was cooking lunch. Vinny had just pumped the bilge with the lister, and I followed him aft. He was going on to deck. I asked what was going on. He said, oh, it just struck the foresail. And so I was about to go back to the galleon, and it started what I thought was raining very, very hard, which was probably water being blown off the top of the waves by the wind. And then I went back to look out, and that's when we started going over.
We were all on the boat when she rolled. And she rolled to port, and we were pretty much just hanging on.
And when the water started coming in, it was pretty obvious that everything wasn't fine. And it took me a while to get out of the boat. The boat was hit and sunk in, what, approximately a minute and a half. Not a whole lot of time. And I was able to get out just seconds before she sunk.
Then it was just a mad scramble to get something that would float, which there wasn't a whole lot of.
We were pretty exhausted, and so we all weren't thinking real clearly, but we spent a long, long time trying to blow up one raft, which was the one that was damaged. So everybody took turns trying to blow it up and working on it for a long time. And I guess I started, at one point, I started working on the other raft, and I got one tube inflated, and that was a major milestone, and then just kept on working on it, and finally got it inflated, and we got everybody into it. But that was after 6 hours of floating in the water.
I think that the reality was that once we did get into the raft, at least you had hopes of surviving.
We had lost some people, and at that point, that first point, we didn't know what was going on. Just, you know, do what you can to survive, and that's what we were up to.
Everybody sort of went through various phases up and down, and it was just too small, too tight, and too indefinite of a situation. You know, we didn't have any idea what the time situation was going to be. You just had to keep everybody at a good balance and sort of help out where it was needed.
I set small goals for myself during the day. Brunch was at 1000 hours and dinner was at, I think, 1800 hours. And I had to say, okay, if I can just get through the nights were the coldest, through the night until the sun rises, another night will be over.
At nighttime? Oh, I think nighttime was just a matter of trying to cope. And then you do it in different ways. You know, sometimes, you know, you sit there thinking of what it's going to like to be rescued, to be, you know, be brought on a ship. What type of ship is going to rescue you? I mean, is it going to be a cruise ship and are you going to end up in a jacuzzi, or is it going to be a fisherman ship where you're going to sleep with the fish for a couple days before you make it home?
I guess my mind brought me to a number of different places.
What?
Oh, one day it was one night, a Japanese tea garden somewhere, which was quite nice, but they didn't have any water there for us. So.
We sang Don McLean's American Pie, but that got, you know, when you get to the part, that'll be the day that I die, that went away pretty quickly, and like everybody knows, we ended up on Puff the Magic Dragon, which, you know, you can't really go wrong with.
The way it worked out, the way we were picked up and rescued, and all that flying home in helicopters and flying home in the jets and having the press conference, I had that all planned. I mean, it happened just how I planned it.
I think we tried not to dwell on the loss of life at that point. We tried to dwell on our own survival. We couldn't do anything to change what had happened. We just had to cope with what had happened and make sure that we survived. And if you have faith that, you know, you're not going to be dished out more than you can handle, then you just keep handling whatever comes along, and hopefully you survive.
Their arrival in Baltimore was emotional, not only for the survivors and the people connected with Pride, but for the whole city.
When I was in the hospital, people were coming up to me. You know, I'd be in the hallway, and people would come up to me and hug me and welcome me back to Baltimore. And that just, it felt like the people of Baltimore, all their feelings and sympathies were for us, and it was so wonderful to be back.
Each of the survivors learned something about themselves and their crewmates during the ordeal.
When it comes right down to it, I mean, when that boat was sinking and you're treading water, you know, it's amazing how strong one's instincts is to survive, and, you know, the next second how strong your instincts is to try to help somebody else. And it's just interesting kind of watching that, you know. One second you're down 20 feet underwater, you know, paddling like anything to hit the surface, and the next second you're looking up and, you know, where is everybody else?
I got a little closer to death. I mean, it's much more real to me. See one person 1 second, and see them the next second too, but they're not the same person you knew. But I just it's closer than it was before. It's not bad, but you know, I know it a little bit.
Quite a crew. It's not surprising we took them into our hearts. They sailed for us, and through them, we learned something too. Teamwork and courage will take us a long way. The billboard at North and Charles says, all cities have dreams. Ours has the men and women courageous enough to pursue them.